This is activity 8.2, rotating a segment. I'm going to walk through the answers on how to do this in case you want to check your work or if you want to follow along. So first thing that we're going to do, always, we're going to trace. Make sure, again, your patty paper is lined up perfectly straight. I'm going to trace this segment. So reminder, a segment has two endpoints. It's a big thing to remember here. It also has a midpoint, which is obviously right in the middle. And then I have E up there. So down here at the bottom, it says rotate segment CD 180 degrees around point D. Draw its image and label the image of C as A. So I'm going to show you what this means here in a second, but first let's rotate it. So we're going to do 180 degrees. And because it's 180, it does not technically matter if we go clockwise or counterclockwise in this situation. So we are going to go around point D, so I'm going to use D as my center of rotation, and then I'm doing 180, so I'm going to do 2 twists with my paper. So here's my first twist. As you can see, it actually makes a right angle, which would make sense because it is a 90-degree turn right there. And then I'm going to turn my paper one more time, line it up perfectly straight at the top, and you should notice that your line is actually just extended out. And you should notice that C is now over here, G is still in the middle, and D did not move. So I'm just going to sketch this right there, just like that. Because again, it does not have to be perfect. And what it means when it wants to label the image of C as A, all I'm going to do is make this point. It was C when it rotated around, but now it wants me to label it A. So that's all that means. And then I just labeled G because G did not change at all. And then the next one says to rotate segment CD 180 degrees, again, around point E this time. Draw its image and label the image of C as B and D as F. So I'm going to line up my original, put my pencil on my center of rotation, which in this case is E, and I'm doing 180 degrees again. So I'm going to turn my paper once, and then I'm going to turn my paper twice. I'm going to take note of where D is. I'm going to just flip my patty paper over and sketch that right there. Take a note of where C is. Flip my patty paper over. Mark it. That was C, and this was D. Then I'm just going to sketch that line segment, and it wanted me to label C as B. So C is no longer C, it's changed to B. So I'm just going to erase that sketch and label it as B. And it wanted me to label D as F. So I'm going to change D to F. And then you should notice something about these two types of lines. You should notice that these segments make parallel lines. Okay, parallel means they're never, ever going to intersect or touch. Then the next one, number 3, which says it right there, rotate segment CD around its midpoint. What is the image of C? So I'm just going to take CD, and I'm actually going to just twist it around and around and around. And if you think about this as like the hands of a clock, if I rotate it 90 degrees, it makes perfectly perpendicular intersecting line segments right here and right here. Ooh, sorry. Then if I rotate it 180 degrees, it's going to be actually just matching up with itself. C and D just flip-flopped sides. And then if I did a 270 rotation, it's again making those perpendicular lines, which you can't really see underneath the pencil. And then if I rotated it 360 degrees, it's just going to take me back to that original image. So when I rotate segment CD around its midpoint, there's a typo in here. Don't worry about that. It asks, what is the image of C? Don't worry about this question right now. Okay, you guys can just cross that one out. What I wanted you to take away from that is when we rotate a segment 180 degrees around its midpoint, which is actually question number 4, what happens to it? When we rotated that segment 2 times around itself, 1, 2, you should notice that it lines back up with itself. So you would just write lines back up with itself. Okay, so that is how you rotate a segment. You will have to know how to do this on a piece of paper and also digitally. So we'll practice digitally at some point in class. But if you have any questions about this, let me know.